So we all know that The Dark Knight Rises will make a lot of money at the box office this weekend, but the big question on everyone's mind is, will it make more money than the box office powerhouse, Ice Age 4? It's gonna be a close one. Hey guys, so today I'm gonna review the movie, the much anticipated movie, The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, when you ask someone what is their most anticipated movie of the year, this is usually toward the top of the list. It was one of my more anticipated movies. I even went to the midnight screening of this movie, which I usually don't do, but I did it just because I really want to see this movie like so badly. And when there's so much hype surrounding a movie, the movie could easily be a letdown, which is why I tried to keep my hype in moderation, but that was really hard to do. But let me just tell you that, this movie definitely, in my opinion, does live up to the hype. I absolutely love The Dark Knight Rises. So Dark Knight Rises is basically about, Bruce Wayne, who's played by Christian Bale, and he, hasn't really been Batman for a long time. I think ever since the Harvey Dent incident, he hasn't really turned into Batman. He's really been down on his luck, doing nothing. And but then when Gotham City faces a new threat, who is Bane, he has to kind of turn into Batman again, which at first he has a hard time doing, but he has to rise and become Batman again. And of course the plot goes into a lot more depth, but that's all I'm going to say for now. So let's start off with the cast. In the cast you have, of course, Christian Bale. And Christian Bale is someone I've always liked as Batman. I feel like he's played one of the better Batmans in the Batman series. I think he's better than Michael Keaton, better than Val Kilmer, all of them I think. A lot of people don't really like that really deep and rough voice that he does as Batman, but I've always liked it. And I just want to say that in this movie, I think he gives his best performance out of any of the three Batman movies, maybe even one of the best performances of his career. And something interesting about the character of Batman in this movie is usually in the other two movies, you see him living two separate lives. And, you see these two lives coming close together, closer and closer together in each movie. And in this movie, when you see Batman, behind the mask you don't see Batman, you see Bruce Wayne. So also in this movie we have Anne Hathaway playing Catwoman. And a lot of people were really kind of disappointed with this casting when they first heard it. I had my doubts too, but I wasn't bashing on this idea. Then I saw her in the trailer and I was like, yeah, I still wasn't completely sold, but still in Nolan we trust. And man, she was actually absolutely great in this movie. I think she plays a better Catwoman than Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah, I think she was just overall great in this movie. So of course Bane is the villain in this movie, and playing Bane is Tom Hardy, who's been he was in Warrior, he was in Inception, a lot of great movies. He's a really great actor, and he's really great in this movie. I mean, I don't think he gave a better performance than Heath Ledger, but still, he played a really great villain. And Bane and the Joker are just two really different villains, like almost opposite villains. Because Joker's always a step ahead, and he always gets into your mind. He's kind of he's more mental. But then, Bane is more physical, more hands-on. He's more destructive, and he goes on more of a rampage. And I do actually feel that Bane is more of a threat to Gotham City than Joker ever was. You have a lot of other really great performances in this movie. Of course, you have Michael Caine playing Alfred Pennyworth. I think he was a little bit underused in this movie because I like his character so much. He provides the wit in the Batman movies, and I just thought he was really great in this. Also in this is Marion Cotillard, or however you say her name, and playing Miranda Tate, and she was also really good in this. And of course you have Gary Oldman and Morgan Freeman in this movie too. And they're legendary actors. They're awesome in every movie they're in. And of course also you have Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this movie playing John Blake, who is kind of a police officer, and he really wants to make Gotham good again. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of my favorite newish actors. I thought he was great in 500 Days of Summer, great in Brick, and one of my favorite movie of last year he was also great in, 50-50, which I think he deserved an Oscar nomination for, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, he was great in this movie. Also, I don't know if there are any Lost fans out there, but Richard from Lost is still in this movie. He was in The Dark Knight too. It was kind of cool to see him in this movie. But still, the whole cast in this movie just does a really great job playing the roles. Some great casting. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about Christopher Nolan. I mean, the guy's one of the best directors of the past, 10 years. He hasn't really ever made a bad movie. I didn't love Insomnia, but, I really like most of his movies. He's one of my favorite directors, and he just does a great job with this movie. And something really impressive that he manages to do with his movies is he manages to make it large scale but great. I mean, just think of a movie like Transformers, where it's only large scale and big budget, but compared to a Christopher Nolan movie, like Dark Knight Rises, where it has a big budget, it's large scale, but it's also smart, and it has this whole other side to it, this whole other aspect to it. You know, and that's something that Christopher Nolan always manages to do in his movies, and something I really like about it too. It's not just mindless action for 2.5 hours. It's smart. You know, it makes you think sometimes. And I also love how Christopher Nolan manages to make a different tone in each one of his movies. This movie, you watch it and it feels completely different than The Dark Knight when it's really not supposed to be. And it's just something that's really cool about his movies. And I've always really liked that about them. So I can't give Christopher Nolan enough praise. You know, he's probably the greatest director out there right now. If he keeps making movies like this, he'll be known as one of the greatest directors of all time. You know, he's just great. You know, he's made one of the greatest trilogies in movie history. Also, Wally Pfister, who has done the cinematography for all of Christopher Nolan's movies, pretty much, he once again does the cinematography. You know, the cinematography is beautiful. It's great. I love it so much. You know, he's a great cinematographer. He's directing his own movie scene, which Christopher Nolan is producing. I'm really excited to see that. And as usual, Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonathan Nolan, is writing. He wrote the script. It's another really great script. You know, I saw the movie yesterday, and I've already quoted like all those lines. Like I already quoted lines from the movies like hundreds of times. You know, the scripts are just so quotable, so great. You know, just from the trailer alone, there's so many great quotes in there. There are even better quotes in the movie. The script is amazing. And before I said that, you know, there's large-scale action in this movie, and man, there is really like large-scale action. I mean, there's a scene in the movie. I'm not going to give it away, but it's prisoners versus cops. And there has to be you have to hire so many extras. I heard none of them were computer generated. Everything was that everyone was an extra. Everyone was actually there, which just shows how committed Christopher Nolan is. And you know, you just gotta see this. You know, it looks great on the big screen. And also, there's a really great score in this movie. Hans Zimmer is one of the best, you know, music composers out there. You know, you just have to hear the score. I mean, the score and the action and everything together, it's so epic, it's so intense. It's just so perfect. And also, I just want to say, you know, there's so many great movie endings out there. You know, my favorite all time is The Usual Suspects. I always love that ending. You know, it always takes me for a surprise. But this movie had such an amazing ending, a beyond amazing ending. You know, I can't think of a better way they could have summed up this trilogy. You know, I'm not going to, of course, give it away what it is, but you just have to see it. It is such a good ending. One of my favorites of all time. Alright, so now I'm just going to get to pretty much just one little gripe I have with the movie. And that little gripe is, you know, in the beginning they have so much setup. You know, they have action in the beginning, but it's a lot of setup. It's a lot like, where are these characters now? What are they doing? But then, you know, when they get down to the action, like the last hour of this movie, you know, a lot of it kind of feels rushed. And there's one scene in particular, I'm not going to give it away, but, you know, it just feels really rushed and kind of weird. And, you know, that was just one little gripe I had with the movie. But in the end, The Dark Knight Rises was an epic conclusion to one of the greatest trilogies of all time. Christopher Nolan does a great job with this movie, as he does with any movie. Christian Bale gives the best performance he's given yet. Everybody else in the cast is great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Anne Hathaway, Tom Hardy, they're all really great in this movie. The cinematography, the script, they're both great. The score is great. I mean, you know, beside that one little gripe, that was the only problem I had with the movie. It's really great. I mean, it's The Dark Knight Rises. It's the biggest movie of all time. You just gotta go see it. Just go check it out. Alright, so I'm gonna give The Dark Knight Rises a 9.5 out of 10. I couldn't get it to the 10, but a 9.5, still a really good score. I really just enjoy this movie so much. Go see it right now. Alright, so thanks for watching my review of The Dark Knight Rises. You know, tell me in the comments below if you've seen this movie yet, if you enjoyed it, if you were gonna see this movie, you know, if you're excited for it, you know, all that stuff. And also tell me, what is your favorite Batman movie? Is it Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, or is it Dark Knight Rises? Alright guys, so thanks for watching my review, and I'll see you next time. Alright, bye.